anti-liver.
I saw that one coming.
On the golf course, but
Ryan Mulvey, middays, 11 to 1 on ESPN Northwest Florida.
Tuesday weather forecast, mostly sunny today, the high 75 to 80, a southwest wind about 10 miles per hour. Water temperature in the Gulf of Mexico, 72. Partly cloudy in the low 60s overnight. Dry weather, sunny weather, warm weather for Wednesday and Thursday, the high about 75 to 82 degrees. This weather forecast has been brought to you by Ellis Agency Insurance. For ESPN Northwest Florida, I'm meteorologist Tim Root.
Game days are always better at Dave & Buster's. That's because more TV inches, more food and drinks, more space, and more fun make the game we all know and love more special. Nothing beats seeing your favorite team take the field on the two 12-foot big screens or 26 75-inch TVs. Throw in the arcade experience and you've got a winning atmosphere that no other sports bar can deliver. Follow the fun at Dave & Buster's Panama City Beach on Facebook and Instagram. Eat, drink, play, and watch sports at Dave & Buster's.
1, 2. I'm in love with a man named Rudy. I'm okay with that. He knows exactly what I want. Keeps me coming back. Cooks breakfast, lunch, and dinner for me. Does the dishes too. I'm in love with a man named Rudy. Last name Barbecue. It sure is easy to fall in love with Rudy's tasty oak smoked barbecue.
Next in line. Turf Pro Lawn and Pest Control. They take pride in caring for their customers' property by providing lawn and whole house pest control. Whether you have roaches or any other unwanted bugs in your home, Turf Pro has you covered. Or if your lawn needs weed control, fertilize, insect control, Turf Pro has you covered by providing custom treatments to meet your property's needs. No property is the same, so why should it be treated that way? Turf Pro, where the blue and yellow trucks make your lawn green. Call 850-890-5820.
Golf Plus is your premier golf shop on the Gulf Coast. Not a big box or a chain store, but a local store with golf experts to serve you. An amazing array of demo and fitting products, plus a professional repair shop that can handle anything from a basic re-grip to a full set of re-shafts and everything in between. Golf Plus has locations in Dothan and Panama City Beach to serve you. Come see them today for all your golf needs. Located next to Firefly at the shops at Edgewater. Call 850-249-2726.
Before I was adopted, I felt alone.
After spending years in foster care, Lexi worried that she and her brother were too old to be adopted. Thankfully, the siblings were adopted, with help from the Dave Thomas Foundation for Adoption.
I love teenagers. To see how brave Lexi was and how she opened herself up to being in a family, all of a sudden, she's holding my hand and calling me Mom. It was really special.
Every child, no matter their age, deserves to grow up in a safe, permanent home.
Children at every age experience challenges. Teenagers are more complex than young children, but in the best ways.
You're never too old for family. Learn how you can help children still waiting to be adopted from foster care at davethomasfoundation.org.
WGSX Lynn Haven, WTOT, W271DM Mariana, WVLQ Port St. John, Powered by Pepsi, ESPN Northwest Florida. It's the next evolution of Sports Talk Radio. The biggest stories and the biggest reactions.
Now.
And now, we're taking...
With the first pick.
It's the last ball you gotta bet. The Inside Drive. From college to the pros. Interviews with the newsmakers, sports betting, your phone calls, and more. And now, The Inside Drive with Ryan Mulvey. Broadcasting from the Bill Kramer Chevrolet Buick GMC and Kramer Marine Outdoor Studios on ESPN Northwest Florida.
And
welcome back on this beautiful Tuesday morning here in Panama City Beach, Panama City, Florida. Absolutely glorious day for golf out there, so come out and see us at Bay Point Golf Club. But I'm Ryan Mulvey. It's our second edition of the Inside Drive here live from the Bill Kramer Chevrolet Buick GMC and Kramer Marine and Outdoor Studios. I am joined by our Director of Instruction out there at Bay Point Golf Club, Jay Henley. Jay, how you doing on this beautiful morning?
I am good. I've been out in this weather all morning. It's great. Get out, play some golf.
Yeah, get out and play some golf. Go get some lessons. Go learn how to get better, but just have fun doing it. I wore my Martin Bro jersey yesterday. I had to wear it again today. Obviously, a big victory last night for the New Jersey Devils over the heated Hudson River rivalry, the New York Rangers. So we are excited to move on. Our first playoff series win in 11 years, which is crazy because I grew up watching them win all the time. So a lot of excitement last night. I had a lot of people texting me. Jay, I know you were one of them. And I also found out this morning, Sophia in our golf shop, she's a huge hockey fan.
Oh, yeah.
Sure. She overheard me talking to Gavin and saying something about Game 7. She was like, you were watching the game last night? And then we got into a big conversation. But cool. Jack Hughes, who's the young 21-year-old superstar, first-round draft pick from a couple years ago for the Devils, is he's liked by a lot of the young ladies out there. So,
nice.
So the Devils have some of that going on. But we got a great show in store for you today. Coming up at our first break, we're going to have another Division I ladies golf coach talking to us. That's our good friend Shannon O'Brien. She's the head golf coach at Lipscomb University, and we're excited to talk to her about their bid in the postseason. And I'm going to find out if it's their first time in a while that they've been able to go to the NCAA regionals. So tune in for that. We'll have a lot of good conversation, a lot more stuff to talk about on golf. Before we jump into it, I wanted to throw something out there. Don't forget, you can text us at 850-215-6290. I want to hear from you guys. You got the big series starts tonight. You know, the Lakers and the Warriors aren't really rivals, but you could say you have the legacy rivals between LeBron and Curry. So I want to hear who you're rooting for, who you think's going to win in that series, which starts tonight. Is it going to be LeBron James or Steph Curry? I know there'll be a lot of eyes on that game tonight, a lot of excitement going on. And then obviously the Braves took 1-1 yesterday in that doubleheader. We'll talk a little bit more about that later with that particular high ball that was thrown at Acuna that looked like it was going for his head, hit him in the shoulder. We can talk a little bit more about that later and get your thoughts on that. But wanted to make sure we recapped all the local baseball and softball scores from yesterday and then from today. So we talked yesterday about all the schools that were in action. I think all six of the major high schools here were in action, both in baseball and softball. We'll start with Arnold, who actually didn't have a game yesterday. They had a bye in that first round of the district tournament. They're going to be playing West Florida today at Arnold at 6 p.m. So if you want to go out and support some great baseball locally right there on the beach, go watch Arnold play West Florida in the district semifinals tonight. And then you've got Mosley playing Niceville today, 6 p.m. I believe that's at Mosley as well in the 6A District 2 tournament semifinal game. Winner from that goes on to the championship. And then Bay last night beat Pensacola 15-0. They're going to play South Walton at 6 p.m. tonight, which is one of the best programs in the Florida Panhandle. So should be a great game. I believe that's at South Walton. So good luck to the Bay baseball team in that one. And then Bozeman, who didn't play yesterday, they play Weewahitchka, who won last night. They're going to be playing tonight as well. I believe that's at 6 p.m. also. North Bay Haven beat Walton last night 11-4. So they move on to the semifinals of the district tournament to play Mariana today. And then Rutherford was that game that Mariana won. They lost 4-1. So good luck to all those high school baseball teams tonight as they have bids to win their respective district championships. And of course, softball, we'll start with Arnold High School. They put a whooping on Godby last night, 24-2, Mercy Rule. They play West Florida tonight at 6 p.m. Mosley had a tough loss, 8-6 against Leon. Bay beat Rutherford 18-3. They're going to play Walton today at 5 p.m. So another big rout there in softball in that first round of the district tournament. These are all semifinal district championship games. And then Bozeman beat Bluntstown 10-6. They're going to play Franklin County tonight at 5 p.m. North Bay Haven had a bye in that first round. They're going to play Pensacola Catholic today as well. And then Rutherford which we already mentioned, lost to Bay 18-3. So go out and support those local baseball and softball teams. That's the future. You got some pretty big names that could potentially be moving up to the next levels. There's a few players that are signed in this area already moving on to college baseball. So again, go out and watch, support local sports. It means a lot to those kids. I know that for sure. Jay, we were talking a lot more about golf yesterday afternoon, and one of the things that kind of came up, we talked yesterday about your tip of the week, which was, club up, swing easy, 80% leads to better contact and all that stuff. I saw an article come out yesterday as well. It was on the Golf WRX, and it was an interview with Lee Trevino. And he said one of the worst things to ever happen to higher handicaps and amateur golfers was the invention of the 60-degree lob wedge. Ooh. Why do you think that particular club is a hindrance to most golfers out there?
Yeah, I mean, so 60 degrees, a lot of loft. You want to try to get the ball on the ground as quick as possible around the greens. I mean, I can think in some of my rounds where, a 60 degree is used maybe one time out of, 70-something, hopefully 70-something shots. But yeah, it's just a bump and run, using a 9-iron, a pitching wedge, something with a little bit less loft is definitely more desirable. Get out there and try that, because I promise it'll get the ball closer to the hole. Your strokes will come down a lot, and you can get into the whole bounce and all that kind of stuff with the wedges. That might be something that we could talk about on the lesson tee, but definitely get the ball on the ground as quick as possible and let it roll. That's the key in chipping around the green.
Definitely a lot of different ways to cook the egg, so to speak. Yeah. But Lee Trevino said the 60-degree wedge is the worst thing that ever happened to higher handicap because he can't use the 56 yet, referring to the 56, which is the stock degrees for a sand wedge in loft. I mean, he's got to learn how to use the 56 before he goes to a 60. I don't know why they're even carrying a 60. They can't use the darn thing. They're always short with it. The reason they're short is if you play with an amateur that has an 8 or over, if he pulls a 60, generally he's short. He's always short. That's one thing we talked about yesterday, even talking with some of our other staff out there at the golf club. 15% of the time it seems like people hit it over the green, and that means you're short most of the time. So if you're going to use a club that's designed to go even shorter, now around the greens and having to hit high lofted shots, that's one thing. But that's where you talked about the bounce coming into play and various other things to do with the 56 or your pitching or your gap or your 9 or whatever makes it easier. That's what, again, we kind of talk about making the game easier.
Yeah, and your arsenal in your bag, you don't even have a 60, right?
No, I'd rather open up that 56 if I have to, but I just know I don't have to. With a 60, I feel like you've got to swing at a very specific tempo in order to make solid contact with that, unless you got some crazy bounce on that 60, but you don't see that too often.
Well, we love Phil Mickelson here in the studios, but I tell you, he was the one that actually kind of got everybody everybody hitting the flop shot, and it's fun to watch, but I mean, you have to hit thousands and thousands of golf balls.
It is not a high percentage shot for sure. You can either stick that blade right into the ground and chunk it 3 feet, or let it make that mark right across the equator, and then you're in a water hazard on the other side of the green. We also talked to you yesterday about, managing your expectations when going out on the golf course, having fun, enjoying the game. Here's a little stat for you that I found earlier today. Tiger Woods, obviously one of the best golfers of all time, missed the green 20% of the time from 100 to 110 yards, meaning 1 out of 5 times he would miss the green from that short a distance. And you got people going out there playing all the time. They're 100 yards out. They think they should hit the green every time. They miss the green. They throw clubs. They get frustrated. He's the best player, arguably, of all time, in our era anyway. And, he misses the green 1 out of 5 times from that short of yardage.
That's right.
I thought that was pretty crazy.
No, you're right. I mean, I've watched, if you go back and see him and Butch Harmon on the Golf Channel back in the late 90s, Butch Harmon's trying to get him to swing his arms down in front of his chest, because Tiger got the club a little bit too far behind him at times. And so Tiger even told, he looked in the camera and he goes, look, this is the best in the world. And he said it took him years to figure out how to get his arms to basically fall in front of his chest on the way down, just to kind of keep the club out in front of him.
Yep.
So, and we're talking the best in the world. So, and I know I talk to students all the time, and it's like, but they don't. I don't know, man. It's just it takes so many repetitions,
Well, one of the things too about, when you go out and play golf in a competitive, you want to try to hit some pretty crazy shots too and make some stuff happen. And I think, if you're good with that and you're okay with the result, if it doesn't go well, that's one thing. But if you're looking for a more consistent lower score and that's your goal, I think playing smart and doing things that are easier goes a long way for sure.
Absolutely.
I think we got a caller. Coach Whitworth is back on the line.
Whitworth. All right.
How we doing, Coach?
I'm doing great. I hope y'all are the same. The weather's fabulous. I'm going to take an alternative viewpoint on the 60-degree lob wedge. It's got if in it, though. If you're not counting clubs, you there?
Yep, we can hear you.
It's a great snake killer. Don't let anybody see you use it, though, because all snakes are protected anymore. But I've killed a few cottonmouths with them. That's about what they're good for.
It's got a nice sharp blade on there.
Yeah, you got that heaviness. If you don't cut the head off, you can still bash the spine. But Trevino is correct. I saw him hit a chip shot. You remember when he used to dominate the senior skins game?
Oh, yeah.
And they talked and somebody asked him what he used. He said, what does it matter what I used to chip with? He said, I could have used a 4-iron. I might have. I'm not going to even tell you. He said, just get it on the ground and get it going. And a Serling golf ball, if you're hitting a Pinnacle or a Top Flight, you don't need a 60. That's just the way you should put it. That's not cruel. Those balls go a long way, and they're durable, and they're inexpensive. But if you're not playing a higher-end ball or playing for a lot of money, where would you cut it off? About 11 handicap or even?
I don't even know if it's specific to a handicap, just because with a handicap, it's not necessarily your ability. It's also your scoring, your course management that all goes into that.
Which goes back to using a better club than a wedge. I used to caddy, okay? I'm caddying for a young woman in a state amateur, and she's just off the green. Got a little hair there on the, a little frog hair around the green. She wanted to use her sandwich because she's a modern school. I said, what I'd do? I'd deal off the 8-iron and just put a nice putting stroke on it. I'm not bragging about me because the woman did it. She made a birdie. She knocked it in the hole.
Wow.
She could have made anything with her sand wedge. I'd seen her play many times. But it's the way to go. Just people, hey, you talked about Golf Digest. Listen to you guys. Golf Digest, too much information.
And it's
overload.
There's the thing about golf instruction too, and Jay can speak to this, is when you read Golf Digest or watch videos on YouTube, that is a generality that does not fit each person. And the golf swing is so unique to everybody. Yeah. How far away you are from the ball, your height, your size of your hands, everything goes into your golf swing, and it's different. And that's why getting golf lessons from an individual is so important, because you can't go read something about how to fix your slice. That might not apply. Your alignment may be terrible and lots of other things.
Yeah, you said it yesterday, stance, grip. I used to talk about stance, grip, and alignment. Okay, and, you talk about YouTube. There's some great videos on there. There's actually 7 seconds of Harry Varden swinging on there, or like something like that, or 20 seconds. But you need a set of eyes outside your body. Now, Paulo used to talk about that. He didn't know why Tiger just didn't film himself and look at it. Well, I kind of agree with that, but he'd had some of the greatest instruction in the world. And maybe some that was a little sketchy. I ain't going to say who. But, I don't stack and tilt, I'll tell you that. God bless you guys. I'm looking forward to the Lipscomb segment. I want to work that tournament next year if I'm alive as a volunteer.
Yes, definitely. We'd love to have you, because it's a great event, a lot of fun, that's for sure.
Well, they were an NAI power years ago, and they've been on a long road to transitioning. I mean, the women's team was.
Yes.
25 years ago. But it's a long road to the NCAA tournament.
That's right, and they made it this year. We look forward to talking to Shannon about it.
I'll be listening with great interest.
Sounds good.
Have a good one.
Thank you very much, Coach.
Yeah. No, I like what he said. It's I try not to be a doctor. I try to be a pharmacist per se, and it's you prescribe the right medicine to the students, and then that way the students can go onto YouTube and be like, hey, look, I can work on my pivot or work on my grip and all that kind of stuff. But I like what you said there, Coach Whitworth. for sure.
Real quick before we get to our first break, I wanted to touch on something. We talked a little bit about the NFL draft yesterday. Just had a couple stats for you on the draft. We were talking about how important offensive linemen and defensive linemen were. I'm just going to run back the last 5 years. So back in 2019, there was 11 quarterbacks taken, 25 running backs taken, 28 wide receivers, 16 tight ends, and then you had 40 offensive linemen, 45 defensive linemen. I won't go past that because the defense it's still pretty stout compared to offense. In 2020, you had 13 quarterbacks, 18 running backs, 35 wide receivers, which was a big wide receiver draft year, 12 tight ends, but then you had 47 offensive linemen, 41 defensive linemen. 2021, kind of the same thing. Only 10 quarterbacks taken, 20 running backs, 35 wide receivers, only 11 tight ends, but then again, 46 offensive linemen, 50 defensive linemen. Obviously, you've got, a lot more offensive linemen and defensive linemen on your roster than you do quarterbacks and wide receivers. But getting back to that point, you can't have a team without the trenches. Then 2022, last year's draft, you had 9 quarterbacks taken, the second lowest in the last 20 years besides 2015. You had 23 running backs taken, 28 wide receivers taken, and then 19 tight ends. And then this year's draft, which just happened last week, you had one of the highest quarterbacks back in 2004 in the last 20 years was when you had 17 quarterbacks taken. The next highest was 14, which happened in 2005, as well as this past draft year in 2023. You had 14 quarterbacks taken, 18 running backs, 33 wide receivers, 15 tight ends, but then you had 43 offensive linemen and 48 defensive linemen as well. So obviously those trenches are so important. One of the other big ones is your defensive back. Now you typically have 4 or 5 defensive backs out there every play, so you got to have at least 10 or so on your active roster each game. So, but you had 58 defensive backs taken this past year. I had one of the higher special teams as well with punters and kickers. You had 6 taken in the draft this year, including my Niners taking Jake Moody from Michigan. So I thought that was very interesting on how that all worked. I'm trying to look at the 1976 out of the last, we're probably talking, 60, 70 years. 1976, you had the most quarterbacks taken in the draft. That was 26. It's obviously kind of gone down significantly since then. In the last 30 years, looks like you had 21 quarterbacks taken in the 1992 NFL draft. But like I mentioned, in the last 20 years, the quarterback has not been taken quite as much, with the average being a lot lower, with 2004 being the last time you had 17 quarterbacks being taken.
What's your thoughts on that? That's ironic. So 26 quarterbacks taken in 1976. Now we're into the 10 to 15, right?
Well, yeah, obviously the game's completely different than it was 50 years ago. It was a lot more running the football, a lot more, wing tee, power, that kind of stuff, where the game has evolved quite differently into a lot more passing attack. Even most recently, we're seeing a lot more spread, and even the read options coming a little bit more in there. So I think just the need for a quarterback has obviously changed quite differently, and you just didn't need to have such a power guy, in this day and age. So that's kind of probably my thoughts on that.
Yeah.
We got coming up next after this break. Again, we have Shannon Lipscomb. She's the head women's golf coach of, Shannon O'Brien, who's the head women's golf coach at Lipscomb University. She's going to be joining us talking about their record season that they had, their NCAA regionals bid. They'll be going to the regionals here shortly. And we're also going to talk to her a little bit more, like we talked to Amy yesterday, about the mental side of things. I know Shannon is big. We'll talk more about her when we get back. But again, you are listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. We are live inside the Bill Kramer Chevrolet Buick GMC and Kramer Marine and Outdoor Studios. You can listen locally here on 104.3 in Panama City, going all the way from Destin to Mexico Beach, 101.9 across the Forgotten Coast, as well as 102.1 from Mariana all the way up to Dothan. We'll be right back with Shannon O'Brien.
The next evolution in sports talk radio. We're back! On 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. The afternoon underdog.
Hello.
The The only live afternoon show in Panama City where you can win fantastic prizes from amazing local businesses every day.
That's right.
4 to 6 weekdays. The afternoon underdogs.
It's mayhem.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
Tuesday weather forecast, mostly sunny today, the high 75 to 80, a southwest wind about 10 miles per hour. Water temperature in the Gulf of Mexico, 72. Partly cloudy in the low 60s overnight. Dry weather, sunny weather, warm weather for Wednesday and Thursday, the high about 75 to 82 degrees. This weather forecast has been brought to you by Earthworks of Northwest Florida. For ESPN Northwest Florida, I'm meteorologist Tim Root.
Hi, this is Matt Lewis with Reliable Hydraulic Solutions. We offer comprehensive diagnostics and repair service for all types of hydraulic units, such as hydraulic and pneumatic cylinders, hydraulic pumps, motors, and valves, as well as a broad range of hydraulic hoses and O-rings. Give us a call at Reliable Hydraulic Solutions at 850-326-3000 for any of your hydraulic needs. Or come see us on Commercial Drive off Jinx Avenue in Panama City.
By now, you've heard us talking about Tiger TV Pro. Hi, David Hayes from the Afternoon Underdogs, here to remind you about this incredible streaming service with over 6,000 premium channels. And the cost, you ask? $15 a month. Yes, only $15 a month. Every sports channel is available, including the ACC and SEC Network, the NFL, NBA, MLB, HBO, Showtime, and thousands more. For more info, go to our website at espnpc.com. Scroll down and click the Tiger logo.
And now the Inside Drive with Ryan Mulvey.
We're going to have a talk. Tell me what you know.
Broadcasting from the Bill Kramer Chevrolet Buick GMC and Kramer Marine Outdoor Studios.
It's a frantic noise.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
And welcome back. You're listening to the Inside Drive live here on ESPN Northwest Florida. We are broadcasting from the Bill Kramer Chevrolet Buick GMC and Kramer Outdoor and Marine Studios. 104.3 here in Panama City, 101.9 in the Forgotten Coast, as well as 102.1 from Marianna all the way to Dothan. Just a reminder, your home for the Braves is here on ESPN Northwest Florida, and they have another game tonight against the Marlins. That is down there in Miami. It's going to be at 5:40 is the first pitch. You can listen right here on ESPN Northwest Florida. We are now joined by Shannon O'Brien. She is the head women's golf coach at Lipscomb University. Shannon, how are you doing on this beautiful day?
Doing great. Thanks, Ryan.
Yes, thanks for joining us. Obviously got Jay here in the studio.
Good morning, Shannon. How are you?
Hey, Jay.
Hey.
Doing great. Thank you.
Good.
I know a lot of exciting stuff going on with your golf program up there. You guys had a pretty big record-setting year. You're heading to the NCAA Regionals, which is, I know you guys were stoked and so excited. Talk a little bit about how that came to be. Was that a winning your conference automatic berth, or how does that all work?
Yep. We got to play in the ASUN championship, and basically down to the wire. It was a really tight finish, which was super exciting. And by winning the ASUN championship, we got an automatic bid into the NCAA Regional.
Now, is that pardon me for not knowing, have you guys been to the NCAA Regionals before, or is this the first time for the program?
This is the first time in program history, for both the men and the women that we've won the ASUN championship. The men have been to regional and national before with they qualified outside of an automatic bid. They got an at-large bid about.
Gotcha. That is so awesome.
7 years ago. Yeah.
Well, and congratulations to you as well. Not only are you going to the NCAA Regionals for the first time, but you were named the Atlantic Sun Women's Golf Coach of the Year, as well as Mary Kate Smith being named the Atlantic Sun Women's Golfer of the Year. So huge congratulations on that. And I know you've been working hard since you've been there, and you guys had quite the record-setting season this year. Talk a little bit about some of those records that you guys broke.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, Mary Kate, she is a senior on the year for academics, but she's a junior really in her eligibility. And she's just had a breakthrough year for herself. It's been really fun. She's one of the hardest working players on the team and has just been incredibly diligent. She actually had one of the first record-breaking performances of the year back at our very first tournament. We were at Caledonia in the Golf Week invite, and she scored 6 under which was the lowest individual round in our program history. She shot a 65, I think it was, which was awesome. And then, gosh, in addition, our team scored the lowest 18-hole along with 54-hole tournament record-breaking performance at the White Sands in Bahamas. That was a phenomenal event. If any college teams are listening, that is definitely a tournament to go to. They do a great job, and while we were there, we shot 13 under for the tournament total, which was about 35 strokes ahead of second place. The team was lights out. Yeah, 3 players were under par. Literally, individually, we went first, second, third, and fourth. It was a playoff for the individual title. Both Lauren Thompson and Mary Kate Smith were tied at 4 under, and they went through a 5-hole playoff, and Lauren sunk a birdie putt to win the individual title over MK. And then Sarah Stout was 3 under for that event as well. So those were some different record-breaking performances. I believe the team has shot 404 birdies total this year, which is also a record-breaking number. The program was ranked the lowest it's ever been ranked in a good way, or highest, however you want to look at that. Where the lowest number we've come in at is 83. We're hoping to break that here at the NCAA Regional. But that was also a record-breaking number for our program as well.
That's awesome.
I'm sure there's others, but off the top of my head, those are the ones I can think of.
I've got a couple more in there for you. And for those that just tuned in, you're listening to ESPN, The Inside Drive on ESPN Northwest Florida. And we're joined by Shannon O'Brien, the head women's golf coach at Lipscomb University. Shannon, obviously, you got Panama City Beach is a special place for y'all's team and the university up there. Bay Point Golf Club has been proud to host the last 3 Lady Bison Classics and looking forward to hosting one next spring as well. Y'all had a great tournament this year, ended up winning down there, which was fantastic. Also got to give a huge shout out to Lauren Thompson, who actually broke our ladies competitive course record in that first round. I believe it was 67 off the top of my head that she shot. Just love having y'all down there and enjoy the program. Want to ask you a couple questions. What do you think has been the big reason that y'all have had so much success this year and really built to what this year has culminated to?
Gosh, it's a combination of factors. I'd say the camaraderie, just the unity of the squad, we've all just leaned in together. That's been really special. The rapport that I had the opportunity to build with the players as the assistant coach last year before stepping into the head coaching position, I definitely think has been beneficial as well. Just, the opportunity to know those players, for them to have already trusted me and, had a relationship where they knew they could be forthright and honest, and I knew I could be forthright and honest, has definitely helped us just continue to strive together. That's been a mantra of our team. It's kind of interesting, but the original word for competition actually means to strive together, and so much in our culture, we all see it as striving against. And I think on a team sport where there's, a ton of individuals, and that's true for any sport, right? Everybody's an individual on a team sport. But uniquely with golf, junior golf really emphasizes the individual over the team. They don't really taste the team atmosphere until high school. And even in that space, it's not always a full team because of just either available, bodies who are playing or at least playing at an elite level. And it's still very individualized. I'm like, well, what can I achieve? At least I'm scoring this. At least I'm doing that. And that's normal, right? Like, we all do that on any sport we play. But one of the pieces I think has been not necessarily unique to me, but me coming out of soccer and having a very team-oriented point of view, I've just really encouraged our team to strive together. And that while, I'd love for Mary Kate and Lauren, to have a playoff every hole, I'd also love me and Tsunami and Caroline and Sierra, or whoever it is on the roster, to all strive to win that individual title. But more importantly, I want us to win as a team. And so I think that point of view has helped us to stay collective in our pursuit of what we're trying to achieve. Additionally, I'd say, we do have experience on the roster Mary Kate, Allie Williams. I should have named Allie earlier. She's also been phenomenal. They all, while they're seniors, we had 2 grad students as well. So we had 4 of our 5 were all upperclassmen, which brings a layer of experience and exposure to just playing, collegiate golf. Additionally, Lauren, who's only a sophomore, and Tsunami, only a sophomore, they both have stepped in and just really been a part of the team and contributed in big ways. And so all of our tournaments, we've literally had all 6 players at some point have their score count, which I also think has really deepened that team point of view of just, it's not just one player who's winning it all for the team. It's literally taking all 6 of our players to contribute when their, number counts. It's helping us take the victory, which has been really special.
Yeah, Shannon, and I'll get historical here for a minute because I remember us interviewing you a couple of months ago, and I've got it written down here in my notebook here. But I think I had asked you kind of what the secret ingredient was to winning team, and I think you had mentioned something about just encouraging your players. I don't know if you remember that interview or not, but so I think you're discounting yourself as a coach. I mean, I think you have created an environment, for your kids, and and I know from a humble standpoint, you want to give yourself, obviously give your players credit, but I'm giving you credit for what you're doing for Lipscomb and golf, and so congratulations to all of that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Again,
thank you. I do appreciate that.
Again, you're listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. We're joined by Shannon O'Brien, the head women's golf coach at Lipscomb University. Shannon, you mentioned earlier about soccer. You didn't start at Lipscomb in golf. You started there as the assistant soccer coach, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that's correct. Yep. It was. Yeah, go ahead, ask your question.
No, I was just going to say, so you obviously have a huge background in team sports and soccer, and you played at the University of Arizona, and I'm going to toot your record books a little bit. You have the record for the fewest goals allowed in a career, so kudos to that. But how do you think the transition from the team sport that soccer is, obviously golf is an individual sport for the most part, but in college and all that, in high school, you play as a team, and that camaraderie is so important. How do you think that transition from soccer to golf, how do you think that's helped your team be so successful?
Gosh, I'd say, again, kind of that team piece of just this point of view of that we're striving together, where every individual, in my opinion, matters, whether you're playing max minutes or no minutes. Every person has a role to play, and if those players buy into that role, it only helps strengthen the unity of the squad. Excuse me, from a soccer lens, so I was a goalkeeper, which uniquely that is an individual on the team, where like my role is very significant in the space of trying to maintain a low score, which is also relevant with golf. If the team is performing well and they go score goals, on the soccer field, that's awesome. Like I might have contributed a little bit to, I think it's 30% that goalkeepers can actually be the first line of attack on a field. And while that's, great when the goalkeeper can contribute that way, so much of the match, like if you have a shutout, you still haven't won, you've only tied. You still need players to score and do their role. And so I think that has helped me just have a point of view of coming in and being like, man, across the board, like helping our girls see, like, what your score is, but you don't know what's going on across the field. You don't know what's going on with your teammates and their scorecard. And so while you might feel like, man, my card is blowing up right now, I've just, double bogeyed, I've blown it, and like you start to get in your head, you can spiral really fast. And truthfully, a goalkeeper wrestles with that same mentality because, uniquely with soccer, you do see the scoreboard and you do see what's happened, and everybody sees your failures and or bright moments. And so I can empathize with the players where, as a goalkeeper, you feel a lot of pressure. You're either the hero or the loser. That's not always the case, but you feel like that. And the ability to maintain your concentration throughout the whole match is very significant for a goalkeeper. It's very easy to lose your concentration, to kind of space out while the play is down on the other side of the field, and then, it could be a quick counter, and next thing you know, a goal's, been scored, and you're like, what just happened? Like, I wasn't even switched on. And so learning to maintain that concentration, I think, is a significant piece to any sport, but especially for a championship mindset. I think additionally, just the overall piece of confidence, I think, is massive. Like, when you have a goalkeeper who's confident, if you have a golfer who's confident, if you have a gymnast who's confident, name the sport kind of thing, you're going to see them flourish in a way that may or may not be above their talent level, but they're likely going to still contribute in a positive way just because they feel good about what they have to offer. So that encouraging piece, like, I think that is really significant. And then just consistency, like, how consistent are we performing? That's another piece where, from goalkeeping to golf or any sport, if you can create an atmosphere of consistency, that's going to help players, have a greater peace and a little bit more of a stability in how they approach their sport. And so going from soccer, to golf, I think uniquely being a goalkeeper, I could just empathize with that individual role where your scorecard or your scoreboard immediately reflects your performance, and then your ability to return to, just bouncing back if you, had a point go sideways and you're like, oh, that's not what I wanted. How quickly can you rebound? Can you have a growth mindset? Can you get dialed back in and maintain the match as opposed to spiraling and it getting too far out of your control?
Well, I think you made...
Sorry, that was a long-winded answer, but...
No, it was beautiful.
Yeah,
I think you made some great points, too, as well, talking about the team sport aspect of it and knowing other people on your team are confident, especially in golf, because, sometimes when we're playing golf, we definitely feel alone out there. But knowing that, you may have just made a double bogey, but maybe two of your teammates just went on 2 birdie streaks and they just went 4 under for those 2 holes, so your double bogey isn't that big of a deal. Probably leads to a lot better play and a lot more confidence overall as a group.
Yeah, it does.
Definitely.
Right? Yeah, absolutely. Can you, I may kind of put you on the spot here a little bit, Shannon, but do you have a particular player right now that demonstrates leadership that on and off the golf course that's kind of keeping the teams alive and well?
We do, and I'd say there's been definitely a few at different places. I'd say probably most consistent are 2 other captains, which are Mary Kate Smith and Lauren Thompson. They both have just been phenomenal at being accountable with their teammates in a gracious way, but also just their work ethic, their consistency to remain true to character. Yeah. Our team's vision statement is to pursue a Christ-centered culture through a championship mindset with integrity on and off the course.
Oh, that's
and
great.
Truly the integrity that these 2 women have maintained and just how they themselves, and they're human. They'd tell you, I lost my temper in this moment, or, I'm so frustrated or I'm disappointed. We all feel those things, but they definitely have helped, I'd say, just be such an undergirding of strength for the entire team. The way they've witnessed them encounter moments of strife or frustration or disappointment. They've really, even for me, they've modeled it in such a way where it's just admirable, and really appreciate them for who they are.
Awesome. Shannon, do you mind if we hold you over for one more segment? We got to take a quick break.
Yeah, go for it.
Awesome. Well, you guys are listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. We're joined by Shannon O'Brien, the head women's golf coach, just up the road up there in Nashville at Lipscomb University. We are live here from the Bill Kramer Chevrolet Buick and GMC and Kramer Marine and Outdoor Studios. You can listen live here on 104.3 in Panama City, 101.9 the Forgotten Coast, as well as 102.1 Mariana all the way to Dothan. You can also stream live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and of course always at www.espnpc.com. We'll be right back with more from Shannon O'Brien.
ESPN Northwest Florida. The afternoon underdogs.
essentially I was a pharmacy manager at the Walmart on Front Beach Road last year, and as most of you locals can remember what happened. So I was working there at about 6:30 when the Walmart flash mob occurred. So that was basically my last day at Walmart.
Yeah.
4 to 6 weekdays. 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Take your next adventure in an eco-friendly all-electric Kia EV6 that gives you the movement that inspires. You can live fully charged while saving now and down the road on maintenance and fuel costs. You have to drive it really to believe it. Schedule a test drive today and explore the electrified Kia vehicles at Bill Burr Kia. Now offering 3.9% APR for up to 60 months on the purchase of a new 2023 Kia EV6. You'll get the perfect balance of comfort, safety, and technology, but with performance that minimizes the impact of our environment. Bill Burr Kia is the home of the 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty. Stop by and see us at 2435 East 15th Street or anytime at BillBurrKia.com. We make it easy to switch to EV ownership that gives you the peace of mind you can trust.
Offer from Kia Finance with the purchase of a new 2023 Kia EV6 with $1,837 per month for $1,000 finance for 60 months. Quality's limited. No down payment required. Cannot be combined with other finance offers. The 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty is a Bill Burr Kia warranty. See dealer for details. Offer for well-qualified buyers must take delivery from dealer stock through 5/1/23.
Did you know that fees associated with real estate closings are virtually the same from one title company to the next? So what sets South Oak Title apart? Effective communication, customer service, expertise, and technology. If you're buying or selling real estate, refinancing a residential or commercial property, tell your realtor you want to close with South Oak Title. South Oak Title, with locations across the Southeast, including Panama City Beach, Inlet Beach, Destin, and Fort Walton Beach. Visit them online at southoaktitle.com.
The locals love it.
You're gonna love this. You are my favorite. It's my favorite.
Everybody's favorite. The Inside Drive with Ryan Mulvey. Live from the Bill Kramer Chevrolet Buick GMC and Kramer Marine Outdoor Studios on ESPN Northwest Florida.
And welcome back. You are listening to the Inside Drive live here on ESPN Northwest Florida from the Bill Kramer Chevrolet Buick GMC and Kramer Marine and Outdoor Studios. You can stream us live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Just search ESPN Northwest Florida, and then you can tune in anywhere from your phone or computer at ESPNPC.com. We are joined by Shannon O'Brien, the head women's golf coach at Lipscomb University. Shannon, thank you for being with us this morning.
Yes, happy to be here. Thank you.
Hey, Shannon. So during the break, I was talking to Ryan a little bit. It's kind of crazy. So yesterday, we were able to talk to the Florida State women's golf coach, and then the other week, had an opportunity to go to Point University in Lynette, Alabama, and play in a golf tournament and support Point University golf team. And so when I was at Point University, they have their own golf course there, and a lot of the college golfers actually work the golf shop, and some of them mow the green. And just to kind of see the difference between Florida State and Point University and the golf facilities there. Describe to all of our listeners what kind of setup do you guys have up in Nashville?
Yeah, great question. So we have a practice facility that's located at a private club. The club's called Nashville Golf and Athletic Club. It's located kind of on the cusp of Brentwood, Franklin, even Cool Springs. If people have been to Nashville, it's not far from the Cool Springs Mall. Basically, this club, they've been around, gosh, I don't even know how long, but in 2012, Will Brewer, our director of golf, and a donor had a vision where they created a practice facility for us that has a 2-deck range. It's all grass. We have 3 greenside bunkers along with 2 greens. Both of those greens are all Bermuda grass. It's overseeded with Bermuda. Intentionally, because a lot of the tournaments we'll go play have Bermuda on the courses. However, the course itself is a championship course. It's an 18-hole Corn Ferry Tour location. It's honestly one of the hardest golf courses in the state of Tennessee. The girls have a love-hate relationship. They love it because it makes them better. They hate it because their scorecard always has a couple extra strokes on it than they'd rather. Right. They say hole 1 is probably the hardest. It's hugged by a bunker. It's a skinny green, and everything slopes towards the water. So it right away just puts you in an awareness of course management and playing thoughtful golf. The greens on this course are bent grass with a Bermuda blend fairway and rough. And so what we see with that is it just helps us to have two different types of surfaces to putt on. The folks of Nashville Golf are phenomenal. The head pro, Chad, he's Chad Reeder. He actually is a Lipscomb alum as well, which has been awesome just to have a fellow, Bison in tow with us, and just their staff and their entire team of people have been super supportive, and there's no doubt they have helped us achieve what we've achieved just because they've been so kind and gracious to support us. And then we additionally have access. There's another place that's pretty awesome here called the Golf Sanctuary. It's an indoor facility with a 6-bay TrackMan facility that has, all the data, all the things that we would need to help us to style in yardages, style in awareness. And they've been incredibly supportive to us as well. And that's about maybe 3-minute drive around the corner from our home course.
Wow.
And then additionally, some other clubs let us use their facility just to play, 18 holes here and there when we can. And that includes Brentwood Country Club and Old Natchez Country Club are two of the more recent who've been just amazing at extending the opportunity to play when it fits the tee sheet.
Oh yeah, Brentwood's a very nice facility. Yeah, talking to Amy, talking to Amy yesterday, they redid the Seminole Club down here in Tallahassee, and they were able to kind of set the golf course up, weeks prior to a big event. Wherever the yardage may be, if you're playing from 5,800 or whatever it may be. So it sounds like you're in that same opportunity where you're able to set the golf course up for your players prior to the event that you guys have. So I'm sure that's a huge help.
Oh, it is for sure. Like today, our girls are playing, and we purposely, set up the yardages to match what we could foresee on the regional tournament. Obviously, they won't be exactly the same hole or layout, but for sure, it's definitely beneficial to have this kind of access.
Speaking of the regional coming up, obviously all season long you're preparing, you have your play-in tournaments, you're practicing, you have your routine and your schedules and all that stuff. Does anything change for the regional, or is it pretty much business as usual preparing for another golf tournament?
Yeah, I'd say business as usual. I think probably one of the best pieces of advice I got when I was playing was realizing, man, the way I warm up for a match or a game with soccer, I need to treat my warm-up for practice the same way I'm going to treat warming up for a national championship. By doing that, you kind of create just an ease, an awareness, muscle memory, mentality, and that just really helped me grow and have more peace as a player, where I was like, man, just because there's a greater reward on the line for this tournament, it doesn't change the approach that I should be having. And so I'd say technically it's business as usual. Our girls are being disciplined and excited, and, of course, if they feel different nerves and different things, it's really just help to stick to the process, right?
Absolutely.
If you have a good process, one shot at a time, one day at a time.
That one shot at a time is a big thing. That's for sure. We've talked about that a lot the last 2 days. So what's the schedule look like for you guys? I know the tournament is the 8th through the 10th. When will you head up, or head over, I should say, to Indiana?
Yeah, so we'll depart on Saturday the 6th. The regional allows the girls to come and putt and hit off the range Saturday afternoon, so our goal is to get up there. We're planning to drive. Nashville didn't have any direct flights. Unless somebody, wants to hook us up with a private jet ride, but
anybody listening down here wants to support those Lady Bison, let us know.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, no, we're planning to drive, and the road trip is only about 5 hours. It's not bad.
That's not too bad.
So we're excited, and one of the girls named their favorite memory is the bus ride or the van ride, if you will, and that's fun. There's opportunity for memories to be made, and we've said all year, and it's one of our athletic director's mantras, is it's important to enjoy the journey. He played for Don Meyer, if you've heard of him. He's kind of a big deal in the world of basketball, but I know that was one of his phrases, too, that he really encouraged for his players. And, in hindsight of my playing career, it's true. I mean, you do remember a few moments of great play or great sport, accolades and different things that come from that, but truly the memories are going to be your teammates, the laughs, the silly things that happen along the way. And so much of our life, I think we can get lost in the destination, striving to get to that destination, when so much of life is actually happening along the way. And so that's also just been reiterated for our team all season of let's just enjoy the journey. Let's not get caught up in how it's all going to shake out, but let's just make sure we're present, making the most of what's ahead of us in the present time that we have.
Well, and that's just a great way to look at it, because that destination may not be the destination you want it to be when you get there. So you might as well enjoy the journey, because that's, like you said, that's the thing you're going to remember. If you go on to do great things and that destination is what you want it to be, that's even better. But yeah, that journey, like you said, that's a great point. So many people get lost in that destination and how important that is. But and that's why golf is such a great parallel to life.
It is.
So heading up there and you play, it's 54 holes. Is there a cut in the regional?
There isn't. Technically, to go to nationals, you have to finish in the top 5 teams.
That's right. Now it's 5 instead of 4. Yeah, that's right.
Yep. Yeah.
Awesome.
So, there's 6 locations with 12 teams at each, plus some individuals. So, the top 5 teams from each regional location move on to nationals in Phoenix.
I know me, me being a player and playing in some competitions and stuff, I get kind of amped up, and, you do want to get amped up in competition, because that means the emotions are flying and you're actually having, you don't want to go stone cold or anything like that. But what are there certain things that you guys, work on prior to not maybe getting so amped up? Yeah, I guess I'm hitting on the mental part a little bit more, but
definitely.
Yeah.
No, there is, and each player, I try to really be attuned to each player and what they need and what they're feeling, and I think for sure. I mean, I've yet to coach a player in any sport who doesn't benefit from encouragement. So I am a huge encourager.
Yeah.
I do think, I've encouraged them, like, hey, we're going to embrace the weather. We're going to embrace the wind. We're going to embrace the great opponents. Like, none of that needs to rattle us. Like, golf is golf. We're going to take one shot at a time. There's definitely just sensitivity and awareness of, like, checking in, asking the girls, what do you need today? Like, what do you need this week? How are you feeling? How can I come alongside you and help support you today? Some girls need to name, like, man, I'm nervous. Or somebody might say, I'm just really tired. Like, what do I do? All of them have finals this week.
Yeah.
So that's a whole nother animal. That's a sidebar of, like, encouraging them of, like, it is business as usual. You do have finals. So how do we adjust around those exams? How do we adjust around what you need for studying? Because that's significant in what they're doing. The team this year had a GPA of 3.84, and that we're still not done yet with the semester, but that's, where it closed in at when our school reviewed it, and that's excellent. Like last year, our team was, I think it was a 3.86 at the end of the spring of last year for the calendar school year, which was 13th in the nation for all Division I golf programs across the entire country.
Congratulations on that. That's great.
Yeah, thanks. I mean, kudos to the girls. They're doing their work and going to class, right?
Right, yeah.
They are bright young ladies, and, majority of them are going to go pro in something other than golf, if not all of them. And, just being able to support that, and not lose sight of that has, been really important for us to just help them graduate and launch into that next, chapter of their life. From a psychology standpoint, I definitely think just being attuned and helping them be attuned to what they are feeling and being allowed to name it, and having space to breathe it out, and then also not allow that to intimidate us, but to also just rest in the opportunity and make the most of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I want to touch on one more thing, Shannon, before we let you go. It's some great stuff today. So you spoke of leadership and accountability from the actual members of the team. How did that come to be? Did people are they already kind of leaders on your team? Did they get recruited in that kind of role? Or did you have to kind of bring that leadership out of them? Because that's one thing that not comparing youth sports to Division I women's college golf, but one thing I'm trying to do with a lot of my young kids is find kids that want to be leaders and be vocal, because so much in youth sports is the coach. But when other players on your team hold you accountable, that seems to have a lot more weight for a lot of things. So I was just curious on how that kind of comes to be with your teams.
Yeah, great question. So, I guess it was technically before I was even officially on the golf staff. One of the roles I had with the university was I was the director of spiritual formation for all of our female athletes, and was a resource for female, the female teams. Not that I couldn't connect with the guys, I would if they wanted me to, but a lot of that role was kind of a mentoring / support system, guidance counselor, spiritual formation and direction, depending on what the student wanted. Lipscomb is a faith-centered Christian university, and so that piece of our university is a bit unique, especially for a Division I college. And so Jeff Jansen, he's a guy who you might have heard of him. If not, he's an excellent resource to check out. He's a sports psychologist. He's worked with a lot of excellent programs in all sports across the country. He was at the University of Arizona when I was there. He was our sports psychologist on staff. And he really helped encourage me along the way in my journey. And he has since launched the whole business. And one of his biggest things is holding people accountable. And so he's got a couple books out there, but one of them is on cultivating leaders on the team. And then another is called What It Takes to Win Championships. And, he's got there's like 6 or 8 books and a whole program. If you don't know of him, he's a great resource for this. But he just really helps to name in simple ways how important it is to have accountability and to have standards. I think in our world we get lost a lot, and I would even say this from a Christian lens. Like, I'm all for grace. God's grace towards me is the greatest gift I could ask for, and didn't even know how to ask for it, but He's provided it. And now as I've grown in my faith, sorry, my throat, it's realizing I water down grace if I don't also accept truth and the accountability to what God's also beckoning me towards in a life of living in uprightness and right, holiness. And I don't want to get too far down that path, but that there's an incredible gift with that comes with the invitation of having moral standards.
Hey, Shannon, I hate to cut you off. We got a hard break at noon. I appreciate you we'll definitely chat again for sure. This has been absolutely awesome. And we, down here, your Bay Point family wishes you the best luck in the NCAA regional tournament. We will be following along, that's for sure. So good luck, play well, and enjoy the journey like you said.
Thank you, Shannon.
Thanks so much, Ryan. Thank you, guys.
Absolutely.
And you are listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. We'll be right back with our second hour of the show.
Weather in Northwest Florida can change on a dime.
Gale force winds bombarded with heavy rain.
That's why 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida has the most up-to-date forecast on the Gulf Coast. Hi, this is staff meteorologist Tim Root with over 40 years of experience. I know just how fast we can go from sun and fun to a serious situation. For the most accurate and detailed weather when it matters, rely on 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. Tuesday weather forecast, mostly sunny today, the high 75 to 80, a southwest wind about 10 miles per hour. Water temperature in the Gulf of Mexico, 72. Partly cloudy in the low 60s overnight. Dry weather, sunny weather, warm weather for Wednesday and Thursday, the high about 75 to 82 degrees. This weather forecast has been brought to you by Mid-South Lumber, the best little lumber yard in Panama City. For ESPN Northwest Florida, I'm meteorologist Tim Root.
Here at Tracy's Fine Jewelry, we want to help you celebrate Mom this month. From mother's rings with her children's birthstones to unique one-of-a-kind pieces just like her. This month is meant to celebrate Mom. From our large selection of beautiful stackable bands to simple, elegant diamond necklaces that will bring a sparkle to her eye. This Mother's Day, show Mom how much you love her with a beautiful piece of jewelry that's as unique as she is. From Tracy's Fine Jewelry.
WGSX Lynn Haven, WTOT, W271DN Mariana, WVLQ Port St. John, Paulette Hesse, ESPN Northwest Florida.
Los Rancheros has been doing it right for 20 years. Los Rancheros brings a top-shelf dining experience to you with the opening of their beautiful new building. Watch all college and pro games on Los Rancheros' 14 large-screen TVs with great drink specials daily from 2 to 5 and during all the games. Los Rancheros, the place for live sports and great food on 23rd Street between Jenks and Harrison.
Coming in hot.
So hot.
It'll be a hot one. Really hot. God damn.
The Inside Drive with Ryan Mulvey. Live from the Bill Kramer Chevrolet Buick GMC and Kramer Marine Outdoor Studios on ESPN Northwest Florida.
And welcome back. Now, good afternoon here in Panama City Beach. You are listening to the Inside Drive live on ESPN Northwest Florida. We are here inside the Bill Kramer Chevrolet Buick GMC and Kramer Marine and Outdoor Studios. Jay, that was some awesome stuff from Shannon.
It was.
Any coaches, athletes, anybody out there listening, I encourage you to listen to those segments from Shannon. She is just a fantastic person when it comes to one of the key things I heard in those conversations was culture, consistency, accountability, and leadership. Accountability is such a big one. I asked her the question selfishly. Everybody who knows me knows I'm big into coaching youth sports, not only for my kids, but just helping develop athletes in this area. But that's one of the things that I don't know if I struggle with, but when they're young, they haven't really, developed their own, they have personalities, but you know what I mean.
Right.
And trying to find natural leaders because other teammates can hold you much more accountable. I mean, obviously coaches hold you accountable, but when another one of your teammates holds you accountable for something, I feel like that has a lot more weight. And she's built such a great culture up there at Lipscomb, and they're reaping the benefits now by going to their first ever NCAA regional, which is pretty special.
Yeah, absolutely. And Shannon's done such a great job building that culture and building that. And this is, she's reaping the benefits of building that culture. So, yeah.
You heard her talk about an encouragement type of culture as well. You see a lot of the power sports like football, and you see a lot of that negative reinforcement, the yelling and the throwing of the clipboards and that kind of stuff, which obviously works in some scenarios. But when you have games like golf and sports that are so mentally driven, that encouragement is such an important part of it, because any shade of doubt in your mind when it comes to golf is something to behold.
Well, if you think about it, I mean, in a 4-man scramble, if you get 4 A players together, typically they're not going to go out and shoot 18 under par, because the team dynamic is just not there. And I would take an A, 2 Bs, and a C player in a good team dynamic in a scramble. If you're not getting pencil whipped, by the way.
Yeah, well, that doesn't happen.
No. But yeah, it's that whole team dynamic, and I think like I said, she's done a great job with that at Lipscomb, and she's seeing her getting to the regional and moving on up the ladder is I can't wait to see where all this goes.
Yeah, I'm wishing them the best of luck in that NCAA regional, which we're going to go over all the teams, kind of the SEC, ACC, and our favorite teams here in the regionals coming up. But yeah, the encouragement, the excitement for team sports, it's so funny. I'm involved with baseball for the first time now, and our little Sudeth Stingrays over at the Sudeth Park. Chris Kramer can talk more about that on Thursday, but they've won their last 2 games, and they weren't doing so great leading up to that. We started cheering on every batter. The whole team's paying attention. They're cheering them on. They're feeding that encouragement. And I'm also coaching youth volleyball at the same time. And when the energy is exciting, regardless if the play's not going your way, keeping that energy up, keeping that excitement, that breeds success. And you said the 4-person scramble, which is so funny. You know, you see the teams out there high-fiving, cheering each other on, having a great time. Typically, you're going to have better golf scores when it comes to that.
That's right. Absolutely. And I've been around and I've watched you coach, the kids and stuff, and I like your way of coaching. You do the same thing, Ryan. You encourage, you want to win. I mean, what coach doesn't want to win? I mean, you want to get out there. You want everybody to do their best, and that's all you ask for. And I just remember growing up in Savannah, Georgia, and being a part of the rec ball. Back then it was you had the coaches that were just 120% into the game itself, and I like seeing more of what I'm seeing with you coaching in the local area here. It's awesome.
Well, and you can, I feel like you can get more out of kids with encouragement, and obviously there's correction, and you want things to be done right and all that stuff. Yeah. But people respond way more to being encouraged.
Yes.
Beth, if you're listening, I respond way better to being encouraged, not being torn down. I'm just kidding. But that's just, it goes such a long way, especially in golf. I mean, you were talking about it over the break, that golf, when we start playing better, we have a tendency to want to walk faster to the next shot, get to the next, because we don't want to lose that good round we're playing or whatever. And then people start thinking about their score and that kind of stuff. And usually things go awry. So when you're in those bigger moments, when things are going well, you have to be slow. You have to be patient. You have to go through that process. And that's with any sport, even the fast-paced sports like football. I mean, you have to take your time. You have to stick to what got you in that position that you got to. And you see so many people deviate that and get away from it. I mean, I hear it in the golf business all the time. Obviously, we've been talking a lot of golf today, but you hear it all the time. Oh, yeah, I had a great round. I shot, 38 on the front 9, and I made the turn to back 9, and it all fell apart. It's like, because you immediately said, I shot 38 on the front 9. So I've categorized something instead of getting away from that shot by shot by shot by shot. And that's any sport. Once something happens, there's nothing you can do to change it. You can only change the result of the next moment.
Yeah, and that's another point I like to talk about, is just even recreational golf, playing in a men's group or whatever. The way that you start your day, typically, if you're out, like running around and doing, answering 30, 40 phone calls, doing all this kind of, whatever, you get quick on the golf course, and quick to me on the golf course equals disaster. And so it's so important, I think, we're talking mental here, where you just kind of start your day off. It's like when you're driving a car, when you're going, you don't start out going 60 miles an hour. I hope, if you're driving right now, you start out at 0 and, work your way up to 60 miles an hour. It's the same in golf. You've got to start at 0 and kind of progress your way up. Starting at 60 miles an hour, not a good. I mean, that's what we talked about yesterday with tempo.
That's it. Same thing, right back into the golf swing and in every breed of sport and life and all that stuff.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to take a huge pivot, and we're going to go right from golf right into the Stanley Cup playoffs, which are the first round of the Stanley Cup playoffs is officially over last night with Game 7 in that Metropolitan Division semifinal there, with the New York Rangers and the New Jersey Devils going to Game 7. Pretty crazy series how it all kind of shaped out. The Devils hadn't been in a playoff series since 2018. The Rangers were obviously in the Eastern Conference Final last year. Really good goalie Shesterkin. Igor Shesterkin is an absolute stud in net and does not let many things by him. And New York got out to a quick on-the-road 2-0 series lead, winning both games 5-1, which was pretty nuts. I mean, I was down for sure. I was like, that's going to be a tough hole to dig out of. The Rangers were playing well. Lindy Ruff makes a goaltender switch there going into Game 3 at Madison Square Garden. Devils find a way to win the next 2 games to tie that series up 2-2, starting a whole nother series, basically a best of 2 or best of 3 at that point. So the Devils were going back home. Luckily, they had the home ice advantage. Ended up winning that game 5 4-0 with a shutout by Akira Schmid, which was awesome. So we were excited about Game 6 going back to Madison Square Garden. And then the same thing happened earlier in the series. The Devils actually got out to a 1-0 lead, but then with some penalties and some pretty sloppy play, Rangers won that Game 5-1. And then last night, there it was, Game 7 in the playoffs. If you're not a hockey fan or you've never watched hockey, I highly encourage you to watch the Stanley Cup playoffs. It's just a totally different. Regular season hockey is awesome, but it just doesn't have the intensity that playoff hockey has, and especially a Game 7, especially when it's Devils Rangers up there in the Northeast it's not a direct comparison to Alabama Auburn, but it's got some of that similar feel.
Gotcha.
They're only separated by, I want to say, about 6 miles on a straight line, separated by the Hudson River. You got the Hudson River rivalry, and that game last night, I got home just in time to see it as the second period was getting underway, and Devils played Devils hockey. They're a fast team. They can shut you down in the neutral zone. They can shut you down in that offensive zone, and Rangers got a bunch of shots, but when Schmid was tested, he played well, and they ended up scoring a shorthanded goal, which we were texting about that.
Right.
And so Devils got a power play, but then quickly gave the Rangers back, played 4-on-4, and then that penalty on the Rangers ended, which gave the Rangers a power play. A power play means one guy goes off the ice, so you got 5-on-4 on the ice in a normal power play. So the Devils were shorthanded, meaning they had one less player than the Devils. That's what that shorthanded meant. I knew we'd get to that today.
Yes, I like that. And that was the other thing is, I'm sitting there watching hockey, and I don't watch hockey a lot, but and you think about baseball with the pitch count, football, you can't hit, you can't target, all these other sports. Is there anything has hockey kind of stayed the same for the last few years?
No, actually, it's funny you say that. Hockey has changed quite a bit. When the Devils were in their heyday back in the mid-90s and early 2000s, hockey was a lot more defensive, a lot more physical. It was a lot rougher, for sure. I mean, a lot of people don't know about hockey, equate hockey to fighting. The NHL really doesn't have that much fighting, especially anymore, because the skill level is the best in the world. Obviously, when you get down in the minor leagues, the ECHL, some of the farms, there's a lot more discrepancy in skill levels, and you've got a lot of enforcers and stuff like that. So not a ton of fighting in the NHL, but they certainly changed the way they changed icing now. When you shoot the puck from behind the red line and it goes down behind the goal line, a defenseman used to have to touch it up for it to be an icing. Now, if you shoot it down there and it goes past the goal line and somebody's there, it's an icing. That's a whole nother story for another day. They made the game faster, just like the NFL and a lot of other things. They made some rule changes to make the game more high scoring, more entertaining, all that stuff. So the Devils in their heyday, they had brutal defensemen like Scott Stevens, Ken Danico, Claude Lemieux was a pretty aggressive forward, and all these guys that were known as bruisers, and they really would clog up the front of the net and make it tough for people, and it certainly changed a lot since then. So hockey has definitely done some rule changes to make it faster and more entertaining.
So I'm watching last night, and like I said, I don't watch a lot of hockey, but nor
do a lot of people in this area.
But the hockey puck looks like an Oreo. Is it? I mean, like it literally looks like an Oreo.
Yeah, it just doesn't have any cream filling in the middle.
Okay.
But yeah, it's usually almost 16 ounces of solid rubber in the shape of that puck. It's a circle, and it's about, I want to say, I don't know the exact dimensions, but probably 1.5 inches thick. And it's hard and it's frozen and it hurts when you get hit with it.
Ooh,
and especially with some of those guys shooting it over 100 miles an hour. To be a goalie in hockey, you got to be a little bit off, James.
I got bruises right now from last night to prove it.
See, there you go. There you go. I mean, and what's crazy, if you don't, that's why if you understand the game, it's really entertaining. But when you got guys diving in front of defensemen, shooting from the point, which is the top, just inside the blue line, shooting towards the net, laying their whole body out in front of a 95-mile-an-hour slap shot, that takes some grit and some guts for sure. And that's why hockey players, a lot of times, that one guy, I forget which team it was, recently ended up getting 76 stitches in his face and ended up coming back in the game later in that game. I mean, it's a whole nother breed of people for sure. And that's why I just love hockey so much. But Tampa Bay has done a great thing for hockey in the South for sure. And I was talking to David last night, the host of the Afternoon Underdogs, and he was saying he's glad he grew up in Tampa because he probably wouldn't be a hockey fan if that was the case. But again, getting back to playoff hockey and encouraging people to watch it. It's entertaining. It's fast paced. And believe it or not, when they're out there skating around and doing different things, when they're in the defensive zone, they're doing breakouts. Those are set plays. In the neutral zone, you're regrouping and doing set plays. In the offense, you got something called a cycle where you're just trying to move the puck around, trying to get somebody open to score. So all that, what looks like chaos that's happening out there on the ice, now a lot of it is actually calculated plays and what you work on and practice on. So getting back to what we were saying, the New Jersey Devils will face off against the Carolina Hurricanes from Raleigh, North Carolina. Won the Cup, 4 or 5 years ago. That's actually the number 1 and 2 seeds in the Metropolitan Division when they changed. Kind of used to be back in the day with the playoffs. You'd have the 1, 8 seed, 2, 7, 3, 6, et cetera, 4, 5. Well, they went and changed it a few years ago to try to kind of make more sense. So you got these groupings, these clusters, and then once you win your division, you eventually move on to the conference finals, which me and Dave were talking about earlier. Sometimes seems to set up the same teams, even though the Devils haven't won a playoff series since 2012. So the drought was real. And then the other side of the Eastern Conference, you had the Toronto Maple Leafs winning their first playoff series, I want to say, since 2006. Correct me if I'm wrong out there. But then they're going to face off against the Carolina. Oh, we got a caller. Awesome. Hey, Millie, you out there?
Yes.
Hey, thanks for calling in, Millie. Millie is the daughter of Jody Graham, who I used to work with and for, and I didn't find out until yesterday, is a huge Jack Hughes / New Jersey Devils fan. So what'd you think of the game last night, Millie?
I thought it was crazy. I was, shaking the whole time. And then on Saturday, I had a Taylor Swift concert, and I was watching Game 6, and then they started to lose, so I immediately turned it off.
Yeah, it got a little sloppy in that one.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. I saw your dad sent me a couple of videos of you wearing your Hughes jersey, cheering him on. And like I said earlier, I didn't realize Sophia in our golf shop is a New Jersey Devils fan as well. So there are hockey fans in the Panhandle. We just got to find them. So what do you think for the next series? It's going to be a tough one against the Hurricanes, but I feel better against the Hurricanes than I did against the Rangers. What are your thoughts on this upcoming series?
Yeah, I know the Rangers are amazing, so I'm glad that's past us, but I don't know, I'm still nervous.
That's what's so crazy about hockey, especially when you're invested in a team. It's one shot, one bounce can just go the wrong way, and it change everything with that momentum. A little nervous that they have the home ice advantage. Raleigh's a tough place to play. It gets loud and crazy, especially with their recent success that they had. What do you think about Jack Hughes' younger brother Luke coming into the obviously into the league? The day after they finished the semifinals in the Frozen Four with Michigan, he was obviously drafted by the Devils, but then signs that contract with him. I think a 3-year contract to join his brother, who's only 21. And I think Jack is 19, which is crazy.
Yeah, Luke is 19, and it was crazy when he scored and then he won in overtime.
Oh yes, that was awesome.
Insane.
While his brother was on the ice. Cool. What a story! Yeah. What a story! Well, who's your prediction for? I'm gonna get your predictions while we got you on the line. So, who do you think's gonna win the Florida Panthers and Toronto Maple Leafs game? Not game, sorry, series.
I'm probably gonna Maple Leafs, maybe. I don't know.
That's a crazy one because obviously Toronto was the number 2 seed in that division, but with Boston having the best record of all time in the NHL, scoring the most points in history, ends up losing in Game 7 to the Florida Panthers was pretty wild. But I'm glad Boston's out because Boston would have been a tough out, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So you got the Maple Leafs beating the Panthers, so hopefully the Devils will beat the Hurricanes, and then you'd have the 2 longest playoff series drought teams, the Devils and the Maple Leafs, could be meeting in the Eastern Conference Finals. And then we'll switch over to that Western Conference. The Las Vegas Knights, since they expanded and came into the league, have been tearing it up. They got a big matchup against the number 2 seed in their division against the Edmonton Oilers. What's your prediction on that one?
I don't really have one.
Just give me one. Just pick one. It's like Jay. He doesn't know either.
That's right. Go Edmonton.
There you go. Go Knights. Go Knights. Go Knights. Go, as they say. Yep.
Yeah, sure.
Yep. And then I'll put you on the spot for one more time, and then we'll let you go. The Seattle Kraken, who are a pretty big surprise, beating the defending Stanley Cup champions. Both number 1 seeds from each conference have been ousted, going against the Dallas Stars, who took care of business against the Minnesota Wild.
Yeah, so my friend actually plays for their minor league division for the Stars.
Awesome.
And so it'd be so interesting if the Devils and Stars face off again. Like, that would be so fun.
That would be a rematch of the 2000 Stanley Cup Finals or 2003 Stanley Cup Finals. I think it's 2003 when Jason Arnott scored in the overtime to win the cup. That was pretty special. Well, Millie, thank you very much for calling. I'm very glad you did. It was good to hear from you, and give us one big Go Devils before you get off the phone.
Let's go, Devils!
There we go.
Nice.
See, hockey fans all over the panels. Thank you for calling, Millie.
Of course.
So there you go.
There you go.
There's all the expert picks right there. We got the Devils, the Leafs, the Knights, and the Stars all moving on to the Eastern Conference Finals. With that being said, we'll talk a little bit more about some of the odds, future picks here in just a moment. But we want to remind you that every afternoon from 4 to 6 p.m., you've got David Hayes and the Afternoon Underdogs. And one of the awesome things they've been doing as of late is they have every Wednesday from 4 to 6, they're at Dave & Buster's over there in Pier Park on Panama City Beach, and you have an opportunity to go out there and get yourself a power play card to play some games and win some other prizes, and just go hang out with them. It's pretty cool. They talk sports out there at Dave & Buster's. We're looking for some sponsors as well that we can come hang out with you. Maybe a restaurant sponsor. I don't know.
Be cool.
We'd like to have some lunch while we did it. So if you're listening out there, let us know. When we get back, we'll talk a little bit more hockey, and then we'll jump into some NBA and some NFL. You are listening to the Inside Drive live here on ESPN Northwest Florida.
Your attention, please. ESPN Northwest Florida reminds you it's the law. It's the law. When there's a double red flag, stay out of the water, stick your toes in the sand, grab a cold drink, and listen to live sports.
Swung on, miss, strike three.
104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Double play!
My weather forecast for this afternoon, mostly sunny skies, about 75 to 80, and we'll have a west-southwest wind about 10 miles per hour. Water temperature in the Gulf of Mexico is 72. Partly cloudy in the low 60s for the air temperature tonight. Wednesday and Thursday, mostly sunny, very close to 80 degrees. This weather forecast has been brought to you by Ellis Agency Insurance. For ESPN Northwest Florida, I'm meteorologist Tim Root.
Hey folks, Chris Kramer with Bill Kramer GM. And the best place to listen to the Inside Drive with Ryan Mulvey is inside a brand new vehicle from Bill Kramer GM. And I want you to know we've got 10 times the amount of inventory on the ground as we did this time last year, and darn near all of them are discounted. So shop us online at BillKramerGM.com or visit us at the corner of Frankfurt and 23rd. We'll make it easy and take great care of you.
Bay Breeze Bait and Tackle, this is Tim.
Do y'all sell bait?
Yes, we seasonally stock live shrimp, live bull minnows, live sand fleas, live fiddler crabs, earthworms, night crawlers, crickets. We also stock frozen shrimp, sand fleas, mullet, squid, pre-rigged ballyhoo, bonita, stingray, cigar minnows, Boston mackerel, Spanish mackerel, and a few other miscellaneous baits. It's worth the drive to buy premium locally sourced bait from Bay Breeze Bait and Tackle, located directly off Highway 98 on the west end of Panama City Beach.
And now the Inside Drive with Ryan Mulvey.
We're gonna have a talk. Tell me what you know.
Broadcasting from the Bill Kramer Chevrolet Buick GMC and Kramer Marine Outdoor Studios.
It's a frantic noise.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
And welcome back. You're listening to Inside Drive live here on ESPN Northwest Florida, 104.3 in Panama City, 101.9 along the Forgotten Coast, as well as 102.1 all the way from Mariana up to Dothan. We are live here in the Bill Kramer Chevrolet Buick GMC and Kramer Outdoor and Marine Studios. They are located over there at 2251 West 23rd Street in Panama City. You can give Bill Kramer GMC a call at 850-250-1403, or any of your marine needs, you can call 850-851-0453. And Bill Kramer Marine, if you need something done fast, they will get it done for you. We'll talk a little bit more about hockey here coming up. Jay, if you got any questions on any of that stuff, we appreciate Millie calling in and giving us her expert picks. But we'll jump right into it. Tonight we've got the opening games of this next round, the division finals, as you can call it. I'm sure there's an official name, but that's what I'm going to call it. You've got the Florida Panthers playing at the Toronto Maple Leafs. Toronto Maple Leafs won their first series, I think, since 2006. Florida Panthers are playing, in my opinion, with house money after beating the number 1 seed Boston Bruins in 7 games. The odds makers got the Florida Panthers plus 160 and the Toronto Maple Leafs at negative 167. So a little slight edge there to the Maple Leafs in game 1 here. Jay, what do you think about this one tonight? I know a lot of knowledge in there about this particular one.
I do like the Maple Leafs. They sound energetic.
Well, they're from Canada.
Yeah.
So it kind of goes, there you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
And is that where the sport originated from?
It's the national sport of Canada.
There you go.
That's for sure. Yeah. And there's 2 Canadian hockey teams left in the playoffs this year, which is pretty exciting. Nice. And then that game, I think, goes off at 6 p.m. our time. And then the late night, I say late night. For us, it's at 8:30. You've got the Seattle Kraken traveling to the Dallas Stars. Dallas Stars a little heavier favorite than Toronto is over Florida. They're minus 175 in the game tonight. Seattle Kraken is plus 165. So what do you think about that one? Seattle Kraken's only been a team for a couple years. They're a new expansion team, which is pretty cool.
Okay. I got to go with Dallas Stars. With them being a little bit,
Yeah, they're definitely the favorite. They're definitely the favorite, and they kind of not cruise through, but they won 1 in 6 games, 4-2 against the Minnesota Wild.
The Krakens? Is that what you said?
The Kraken, the Seattle Kraken, kind of like what was the movie Pirates of the Caribbean? Had the Kraken.
Yeah.
There's also I believe there's also a rum or something like that as well. That's called the Kraken. That's apparently pretty stout. I'm actually going to take the Kraken in this one. I think they're again, kind of like the Florida Panthers, they're playing with some house money. I will take the Toronto Maple Leafs in that first game because I think what used to be I think it was called the Garden was for Boston. Forget the name of the
Madison Square.
Well, Madison Square Garden's where the Rangers play. Oh, okay. But the Maple Leafs have a specific name for the building too. But that place is going to be rocking tonight. Their first ever second round play, or first ever in a long time, their second playoff series. So I know the fans up there, they live or die. Coach Whitworth is back on the line. Wants to talk a little bit of hockey.
All right.
You out there, Coach?
Yeah, I want to give you some betting advice on Stanley Cup play versus the regular season because it's different. Yeah, look at the length and weight of the defenseman. Favor that team. Of course, hot goaltender goes without saying, but you never know when that's showing up. And then your second and third line forwards, you want them to be younger. But the third line especially. I mean, you can win with rookies. Somebody up from the AHL. But remember, this is for amusement purposes only in Florida.
No accountability being held.
Yeah, great interview with Shannon. That's a place that's kind of close to my heart. I had several people close to me graduate from there. I did not. But Will Brewer's former NAIA national champion director of golf at Nashville Athletic Club, that's a great venue for her to recruit on because if the ladies can handle it, they can handle anything.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know. I mean, maybe going too deep there, but I think it's still the toughest course in Tennessee, even with the honors and some others. But the toughest course in the Tennessee section is in Georgia, and y'all may know where it is. In my opinion.
Let's hear it.
Yeah.
Lookout Mountain Golf Club.
Ah, yes.
It's ruthless.
Yeah.
You played that one, Jay?
I've seen ranked women cry there. Covenant is close to there, and they used to host D3 tournaments. Love you guys. Great second day. I'll quit bothering you.
No, you're good. We appreciate it. Thank you, Coach.
I hate the Leafs. Gary Bettman's on their side. All the officials, all the review officials. I'll go with the Devils. I remember when they were in Trenton back in the Eastern Hockey League. Not the East Coast Hockey League, but the Eastern League. That's where the Hansons played.
Oh, yes.
The real Hansons, not the fictitious one.
The real
All right. We'll talk to you later.
All right, Coach. Thank you.
See ya.
But yeah, so we'll move right on to the next game tomorrow night, which is a quick turnaround for when you play 7 games. You've got a quick turnaround getting back. The Devils travel down to Raleigh, North Carolina. This is a very, very close one on the money line just for that game. The Hurricanes are a slight favorite at -120. The Devils are only +105. Which, that's pretty much a toss-up. Obviously, if you want to get some points in there, you could take the Devils -1. That gets you 175, or +175. And the Hurricanes, if you take them +1, get you -220. What do you think about that one, Jay?
You said the Hurricane. Who is it?
Devils and the Hurricanes.
Yeah. Oh, the Devils. Yeah, I'm with you on the Devils. I watched the game last night. I got a little bit of.
Now you're into it.
I'm into it. So
you're into it. 7 p.m. Wednesday night. Puck drops in Raleigh. Awesome. Be a good one. And then the final game of the 8 teams, you got the Edmonton Oilers, the other Canadian hockey team, traveling down there to Las Vegas to play the Golden Knights. This one's pretty much a toss-up. It could go either way. Edmonton Oilers are -110. The Vegas Golden Knights are -105. So that's basically a straight up. Yeah. There's not one that's really a favorite there. I'm gonna take the Knights in this one just because I remember the deep run that the Knights had in the Stanley Cup Final a few years ago. That place is electric. If you want to watch another game, all these games are just going to be, from here on out, awesome to watch. But that atmosphere, it's Vegas. It's all a spectacle. Yeah. It's all a show, and all their pregame stuff they do leading up to it is pretty special. I'm gonna go with the Golden Knights in this one.
What color are the uniforms with the Knights?
Very Pittsburgh Steeler-esque. Not quite as bright yellow. It's kind of a deep gold and black.
You got to go with the gold.
Very intimidating. Yeah. Very intimidating for sure.
Okay. All right. And they're playing
in Vegas.
In Vegas.
Yep. Vegas is the highest seed in that matchup.
Okay.
So and hockey goes 2 home, 2 away, back to the home, back to the away, with Game 7 being back at home. So it goes 2-2-1-1-1. They haven't changed that in a long time. That's been going on there for interesting. Some futures on the now that we're down to 8 teams left in the playoffs. Some futures on the odds to win the Stanley Cup I thought were pretty interesting. They've got Toronto Maple Leafs as the odds-on favorite from here on out at +350, with the Edmonton Oilers right behind them at +425. Now, this is coming from the DraftKings Sportsbook. Caesar Sportsbook's got it just a little different. They've got the Leafs still, everybody's got them at 350, but got the Edmonton Oilers right behind them at +375. And then, interestingly enough, now that the Bruins are out, the Devils are actually got the 3rd best odds at +600, the 4th best, the way this is ordered. They're the 4th best, with the Dallas Stars being +550 on some sportsbooks, and the Devils being +600. But the Carolina Hurricanes are actually behind the Devils. Now, game by game is a different story when you're talking about odds, but the Devils have a slight more favorite to win the Stanley Cup than the Hurricanes do, followed by the Golden Knights and then the Florida Panthers, and rounding out the 8 left teams. The Seattle Kraken are at +2,000, which I think is a great bet if you're somewhere where you can make that. They're on kind of a special run, and now is the time. If you can get +2,000 with 8 teams remaining, I would definitely take the bet. I got one in with the Devils earlier this year to win, so I was glad to see them obviously win last night, and then also Boston get knocked out. I keep going back to that Boston getting knocked out.
Yeah. Did all your players on the Devils, any injuries last night at all?
Oh, man. Did you watch the whole rest of the game?
I watched a pretty good bit of it.
When Timo Meyer got absolutely clocked on the blue line by the Rangers guy, and it was a clean hit. And what was crazy is that you used to see hits like that all the time. Like Scotty Stevens did that to Paul Kariya in the Stanley Cup Finals against the Anaheim Ducks one year. He did it to Lindros once. Hockey was a lot more like that back in the day, but the way they've changed the rules and all that, it just doesn't lend. But that was a perfect timed hit, and that was shoulder. It didn't lift his. Liam's like, oh, that was so dirty. I'm like, no, it wasn't. He hit him with his shoulder. He didn't lift up. He didn't jump. He didn't bring his elbow up. But he passed concussion protocol, so should be good on that one. But that was a good hockey play and a heck of a hit. But if I was a betting person, I would. Like Coach Whitworth just said on the phone, it's good for hockey overall that, you've got the Maple Leafs in there and the Edmonton Oilers, because let's face it, hockey is a Canadian sport. And we have quite a few Canadians that come down here in the winter as well. Yeah. I know Peter Gavin. You remember Peter Gavin?
I remember him.
He's a huge Leafs fan. Him and Owen. I don't know if Owen Kelly's a Leafs fan too, but I know Peter Gavin's a big Leafs fan. So that's, obviously, hopefully that doesn't weigh into any of the calls and stuff like that out there. but you never know.
Yeah.
So I think it's a tough one. Plus 350, that means $100 bet wins you $350. I literally like the Devils at plus 600. If you can get them at plus 650, that's even better. Obviously, future bets earlier this year were paying out a lot more. But yeah, don't sleep on the Seattle Kraken at plus 1,800, plus 2,000. A little $20 bet win you some decent money if they go on to make it. Vegas Knights too would be a good one. Not quite. There's a big drop off between the top six. The top six are all, you got the Leafs and the Oilers that are both under plus 400, and the Devils, Stars, and Hurricanes and Knights are all about the same, ranging anywhere from 600 to 650 depending on the sports book. And then the Panthers and the Kraken are all both over plus 1,000. So some potentially, if you want to put a couple bucks down on some future bets with only 2-3 series to go to win the Stanley Cup. It's such a grind, just like all the playoffs. But man, 7 games to win the Cup, you got to play 7-game series, 7-game series, 7-game series. Then you're in the Stanley Cup Finals. That's a lot of hockey, and you've already played 82 games. And at this point, nobody's not injured. Everybody's beat up. Everybody's hurting. And this is survival at the fittest at this point. But like Coach Withworth said too, you get a hot goalie, that can make a huge difference. I'm glad to see the Rangers gone because Igor. What's this? I forget his name now.
Shesterkin.
Yeah, Shesterkin was drawing a huge blank. I was thinking Shestenko, and he was. The Devils could have won some of those games by 3 or 4 more goals. He played lights out, but Akira Schmid's doing good, and Sergei Bobrovsky with the Florida Panthers now has got a lot of experience in the playoffs. I know he was talking about young guys making a big difference, but I think when you get to this level in the playoffs, experience matters. It goes back to what we were talking about before with golf and the pressure and the mental side of it. Can't let the moment get too big. You got to stay in the game and focus and play, because you let a team get a little advantage on you, it can get lopsided real quick out there.
Well, it's that sweet spot of experience, and then are you youthful enough, and are you athletic enough to continue on? I think that's that sweet spot that everybody's looking for, the experience versus, youthfulness.
Yep, and it's aggressive. Hockey is 45 to 50 seconds of a full sprint as fast as you can, and then you get off the ice and do it all over again, and it's a constant rotation of players while play is going on. Obviously, there's whistles with, face-offs and goalies stopping it and all that stuff, but I encourage you to watch playoff hockey. It is a lot of fun, and we'll obviously be cheering on the New Jersey Devils again. Thanks, Millie, for calling in and giving us your expert picks. A lot of more stuff to talk about. We've got, we'll talk a little bit more NBA here. We'll talk a little NBA here shortly. A little interesting in the Braves game last night. I don't know if not last night, yesterday afternoon. I don't know if you saw that, Jay. Ronald Acuna had a ball kind of looked like it was thrown at his head. He hit that triple decker earlier and kind of strutted around the bases a little bit, and then it kind of looked like it was taken that way, and the ball was thrown. What are your thoughts on what went down yesterday with your Atlanta Braves?
Yeah, history with the Braves and the Mets have always been a little bit. Yep. They're in the NL East, and they're rivals, so you never know what you're going to get with that. But I also like the you got the pitch count, and a lot of these runners right now are trying to utilize that pitch count because they can see that going 3, 2, 1, and once they get to 1, they think that the pitcher is going to pitch it to the catcher. Well, then they utilize that as an extra little half of a second to get to a stolen base. So man, these guys are always looking for that little bit of whatever it may be to win the game. But we'll see. Are they playing so they're playing again today at 1?
No, I think they're playing the Marlins this afternoon at 5:40.
Okay.
Yeah, the series with the Mets ended yesterday. Or actually, it was supposed to end on Sunday, but they had all those games rained out and postponed, so they moved them to yesterday. But yeah, now they're going to jump into a 3-game series at the Miami Marlins starting tonight, right here on ESPN Northwest Florida, your home for the Atlanta Braves. They're sponsored locally by Bilberg Kia, Reliable Hydraulic Solutions, Mid-South Lumber, Stormore Portable Buildings, and Brock Pest Controls. Remember, you can tune your dial in if you're here in Panama City, Destin, 30A, all the way to Mexico Beach on 104.3. If you're in the Forgotten Coast, over there from Mexico Beach all the way down to Apalachicola, you can tune into 101.9. And then up in Mariana all the way up to Dothan, you can tune into 102.1. The Braves will be on this afternoon right here on this station. You can always follow live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Just search ESPN Northwest Northwest Florida, and then you can always listen on your phone or any computer at ESPNPC.com. We have been sitting here in the Bill Kramer Chevrolet Buick and GMC and Kramer Outdoor Marine Studios. We appreciate the Kramer Group for sponsoring the studio for our show. We look forward to having him in here in studio on Thursday. I know he's coming back from the PGA Professional National Championship, which is a pretty cool story that he got to go out there and caddy for his brother-in-law. For those who don't know.
Hey, I was going to say I didn't get an update this morning.
I think he shot 3 over again yesterday, so ended up, which, I mean, shooting 3 over in 2 rounds on that difficult of a golf course and that kind of setup is nothing to be upset about, especially going against the best PGA members out there. With a lot of them, all they do is just play.
So Chris had texted us, they're playing in Albuquerque, New Mexico, 5,500 feet above sea level. Let's backtrack to over the weekend where the Dodgers and Padres were playing in Mexico City. Did we talk about this yesterday?
No, we didn't.
Yeah, so Mexico City sits at 7,500.
Yep, way up there.
They had 11 home runs in one game, which is crazy. So there's something to that. We talked about it. There's something to the elevation, and I, when I play golf and I go, 5 hours north to Atlanta, I'm one club, more, I hit the club, ball a lot further. So,
if you can hit the ball a long way down here, not only at sea level, but when we always have high humidity and, of course, a lot of wind, and you go just a little bit of elevation, it makes a huge difference, especially, the Niners and the Cardinals have played a few times in Mexico City as well, sitting at 7,500 feet. That's tough on the athlete as well because you don't oxygenate as much oxygen through your blood system at that kind of altitude, so you see a lot of guys sucking oxygen and that kind of stuff. But 11 home runs in one game, that's pretty
crazy.
Awesome. We've got one segment left for this beautiful Tuesday here in Panama City Beach. As mentioned, we are live on the Inside Drive here in ESPN Northwest Florida. We'll be right back. We'll talk a little bit of NBA, maybe some more Major League Baseball.
ESPN Northwest Florida is already your home for the most live and local sports talk. And now we're taking...
Oh, he got all of that one.
The Inside Drive. Ryan Mulvey, middays, 11 to 1 inside the Bill Kramer Chevrolet Buick GMC and Kramer Marine Outdoor Studios. The latest reactions to the biggest stories happening right now. Plus, interviews, sports betting, and your calls.
You gotta be pleased with that.
On ESPN Northwest Florida.
Take your next adventure in an eco-friendly all-electric Kia EV6 that gives you the movement that inspires. You can live fully charged while saving now and down the road on maintenance and fuel costs. You have to drive it really to believe it. Schedule a test drive today and explore the electrified Kia vehicles at Bill Burr Kia. Now offering 3.9% APR for up to 60 months on the purchase of a new 2023 Kia EV6. You'll get the perfect balance of comfort, safety, and technology, but with performance that minimizes the impact of our environment. Bill Burr Kia is the home of the 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty. Stop by and see us at 2435 East 15th Street or anytime at BillBurrKia.com. We make it easy to switch to EV ownership that gives you the peace of mind you can trust.
Offer from Kia Finance for the purchase of a new 2023 Kia EV6 with $1,837 per month for $1,000 finance for 60 months. Quality's limited. No down payment required. Cannot be combined with other finance offers. The 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty is a Bill Burr Kia warranty. See dealer for details. Offer for well-qualified buyers. Must take delivery from dealer stock through 5/1/23.
This Mother's Day, think Western wear for that special mom. And when you think Western wear, you know where to shop. That Boot Store. That Boot Store. You'll find a huge selection of Western outfits for the young to not so young mama. No need to shop anywhere else. That Boot Store. Open Tuesday through Thursday, 9 to 5. Friday and Saturday, 9 to 5:30. That Boot Store. Next to Bill Burr Kia on 15th Street, Panama City.
Love it.
You're gonna love this. You are my favorite. It's my favorite.
Everybody's favorite. The Inside Drive with Ryan Mulvey. Live from the Bill Kramer Chevrolet Buick GMC and Kramer Marine Outdoor Studios on ESPN Northwest Florida.
And welcome back. this beautiful, beautiful Tuesday in Panama City Beach. I am Ryan Mulvey, joined by Jay Henley. We are live here on ESPN Northwest Florida, sitting inside the Bill Kramer Chevrolet Buick GMC and Kramer Marine and Outdoor Studios. Been another fun show today. Had some awesome guests, talking to Shannon O'Brien from Lipscomb University. Love hearing all the insight from coaches at these high-level sports, and how much they talk about, like we said, accountability, coaching, culture, and all that stuff. And it really has got to start at a young age. It's got to start with the youth because, it's only going to get more difficult and competitive as you get older. Kind of some breaking news that just came out. The College Football Playoff just released their 2024-2025 postseason schedule, which will be the first year with that 12-team playoff expansion. First rounds will be held on campus. It's going to be one game on Friday, December 20th, 2024, and then followed by 3 games on Saturday, December 21st, 2024. Again, all of those first-round games will be held on campus, which tells me that there's 4 teams that will obviously get a bye into those quarterfinal rounds, which will be historically the big. It's pushing this stuff back. So the quarterfinals for the first 12-team playoff expansion will be on New Year's Eve, Tuesday, December 31st, 2024. That'll be the Fiesta Bowl, and then you'll have 3 games on Wednesday, January 1st, 2025. You'll have the Peach Bowl, the Rose Bowl, as well as the Sugar Bowl. That'll all be those quarterfinal playoff games, whereas coming up from the previous years, when we switched to the 4-team playoff, the Rose Bowl and the ones that weren't playoff games, obviously they were still awesome, but just didn't have as much weight on them. And then the semifinals will be pushed all the way until the week that normally the national championship used to be. Thursday, January 9th of 2025, you'll have the Orange Bowl, which will be the first playoff semifinal. And then on Friday, January 10th, so you got a Thursday and a Friday game for the semifinals, will be the Goodyear Cotton Bowl. So you'll have those 2 semifinals, followed by the national championship, which will be played on January 20th, which is kind of crazy to think about. Everybody's been talking about the college football playoff, extending games, more injuries, all that stuff. That'll be held in Atlanta in 2025. So just up the road from us, the first playoff expansion postseason will feature the national championship up there in Atlanta. So pretty cool. A lot of people, I hear Coach Hale talk about it all the time. He's always like, the best 4 teams deserve to be in. Well, the best 4 teams should rise to the top when it comes to this college football playoff. They'll get a bye in the first round, and then they may have to play 3 more games to win that national championship. So they talk about player safety all the time, but we know it's all about money, and this is obviously going to bring in a lot more money, not only for these particular cities that these playoff games are hosted in, but I love having it on campus in that first round. That's one more game that your city, either big or small, gets to earn a lot more revenue, a lot more excitement. So what are your quick thoughts on that, Jay?
No, I like it. I'm also looking at Georgia's schedule this year, and it looks weak. I just...
Well, when you're the best team in the nation, your schedule's always going to look a little weak.
Well, I don't know. We start out September 2nd with UT Martin, go Ball State, South Carolina, UAB. We're all 4 at home. But
don't remember after that, you got to play Auburn. Look out.
This is true.
Look out. It gets even tougher.
That's a September 30th, which used to be a November game.
Oh, yeah. That's changed quite a bit.
Yeah.
It's in Jordan there.
But Georgia does have the advantage with being a visitor in that deal.
Oh yeah, the visitor always seemed to have it. Not in recent years because Auburn's been pretty terrible, but
expanding more football, like you said, Live and PGA Tour. There's more. There's more golf. I think with this, there's more football to be played in January. Look, January we've got. What do we have in January?
You've got All-Star breaks for the NHL, middle of the season, kind of the NBA doing the same thing, and then you've got and you can see it just clicked in my head, which I should have thought that before. The reason why they're playing that the college football semifinals on Thursday and Friday is because the NFL playoffs are happening that Saturday and Sunday.
That's right.
So, and then January, that all makes sense. So January 20th will be the weekend, I'm guessing, in between. No, it's played on a Monday. Sorry, that's played on a Monday, so that doesn't even impact the NFL. I was going to say it might be in between the NFC, AFC Championship and the Super Bowl, but
we have 4 nights of football in January on the coldest days of the year.
On playoffs, too, If you're a fan of football, I don't see how you wouldn't be excited about that unless you only want the 4 best teams to be in there, Coach. That's just came out today. First rounds will be Friday, December 20th, Saturday, December 21st, with the quarterfinals being December 31st and January 1st, and you've got all those New Year's 6 quote-unquote games having a lot more meaning now that they'll all be playoff games, with the semifinals culminating on January 9th and 10th, with the national championship coming up on January 20th.
Will by then Oklahoma, Texas be in the SEC?
Oklahoma and Texas coming in the SEC and start of 2024.
Okay.
Don't quote me on that, but I'm like 85% positive.
Gotcha.
And then you got UCLA and USC moving into the Big Ten as well.
Gotcha.
So be interesting to see how that all shakes out. You know, it's going to be Ohio State, Georgia, Alabama, and Clemson probably. But hey, maybe something will change, and maybe there'll be some upsets. You know, you never know, and it just creates a little more parity. And if you like fun and excitement in sports, parity is always a good thing. That's for sure.
Absolutely.
You know, we were going to talk about the selection spots for all of the women's golf teams. The men's NCAA regional selection show is tomorrow, and we'll be excited to be joined on Friday by the men's FSU golf coach, Trey Jones, a good friend of the program and just an unbelievable golf coach. He's had some serious big-time players come through that program, so we'll be excited to talk to him on Friday. Real quick on NBA, just want to touch on that real fast. You had a couple games last night. Miami, who's been on quite the tear, took out the number 1 seed Milwaukee Bucks. Won game 1 last night in New York, I believe. Yeah, they were the lower seed in New York. And no, that would have been in Miami because that was in Madison Square Garden where Rangers go to die. Sorry, I had to add that one in there. So Miami's leading that series 1-0, and then Philadelphia, despite losing Joel Embiid, James Harden had a 45-point performance, including I think with 8 seconds left, he hit a 3-pointer when they were down by 1 to go on and win that game against Boston, which Boston's getting a lot of criticism, you know, being the number 2 seed and playing at home in the Boston Garden, wanting to make something happen there. So Philadelphia off to a 1-0 lead, and Denver's already up 2 on the Phoenix Suns, which is a little bit surprising. I mean, Denver is the number 1 seed. Phoenix, you would thought, would have gave a little more, although Chris Paul, I believe, went out yesterday's game with a little bit of groin soreness, but Kevin Durant's been there, and hopefully they can come back a little bit and try to tighten up that series. And then, like we talked about right at the top of the show, we were talking about the Lakers and the Golden State Warriors. They aren't really a rivalry, but you've got LeBron James facing off against Steph Curry, 2 legends in the game, and no doubt Hall of Famers. Obviously, LeBron James has the all-time point scoring record in the NBA, but does Steph Curry still have the magic? Do the Golden State Warriors barely won any games on the road this year? Now they're actually the higher seed in this series with the 6th seed, and the Lakers are the 7th seed who knocked off the Memphis Grizzlies. And then we talked about it yesterday, but the Warriors knocked off the Kings in that epic 50-point performance by Steph Curry to set a bunch of records and bring them onto this next round against the Lakers. Real quick, Jay, what are your thoughts on, since we don't have too much time left, what are your thoughts on that Lakers-Warriors game, LeBron versus Steph Curry?
Steph Curry, to me, anytime I've watched him play, he's clutch every time. Like, I think about all the other sports, Tiger Woods is clutch. He's always going to. Steph Curry, you give him the ball with less than a minute left in the fourth quarter, the guy's going to drain a 3 for you. He's going to make your free throws. He's probably going to dunk it on you. But, I'm all about Steph Curry, and they're going to take it. They're going to take it.
You think they're going to win that one?
For sure.
I think that's, because LeBron, he's one of those guys, you either love him or you hate him.
Yeah.
There's the LeBron and Jordan debate and all that stuff, which you could talk about for hours. But yeah, I think it's going to be a great, entertaining series. The Warriors always seem to get up. Steve Kerr, he knows how to get that team going. And I don't know if you had a chance. Steph Curry had a pretty cool pregame speech to his team that they were talking about. They kind of get everybody up for it, but it's going to be a heck of a series to watch, and it starts tonight. And I don't watch a whole ton of NBA throughout the regular season, but playoffs I try to watch a little bit where I can. But we're looking forward to this one for sure.
Oh yeah.
And then pivoting over to your MLB. 1 month through the season, now that the Braves finished those 2 games that were supposed to be in April, how do you think they're doing so far? Obviously, they're leading the NL East by 3 games through 1 month. Obviously, a really long way to go. Do you think they got a good shot to make it back?
I think they do. I mean, we were fortunate enough to talk to Leo a few weeks ago, on the air, and that was super cool. And pitching wins the World Series in every aspect. And, with Strider and Morton coming on with the Braves, I think, they're just Strider, you give him the ball, he's gonna throw not a no-hitter, but a shutout, maybe a no-hitter. But I love where the Braves are sitting right now. I think they're 2 games behind New York, 3 I think actually. And but yeah, I love it, man. Just stay healthy. I know it's 162 games, which is a lot of games. But the Braves will be there at the end of the season. Mark my words.
Yeah,
they'll be there.
It's been a lot of fun. I mean, obviously, we're the home of the Atlanta Braves here on ESPN Northwest Florida. And don't forget about Tiger TV Pro as well. You can go to our website, espnpc.com, sign up for Tiger TV Pro. It's only $15 a month, has over 6,000 channels, including SEC, ACC, NFL, MLB, all the big-time stuff, Showtime, HBO, and more. Again, just check out our website at espnpc.com. Braves are off to a great 1-month start, 3-game lead against both the Marlins and the Mets. Philadelphia's hanging in there a little bit. Washington's, 8.5 games back already. Dodgers are off to a good start. Pittsburgh has got the looks like the best record in the NL right now at 20-9, playing some great baseball. I think Aaron Judge, the Yankees are 15-15, which is a little surprising. I think Aaron Judge went on the DL yesterday. Tune in the afternoon underdogs at 4 p.m. to hear more about that. I'm sure David and the crew will have lots of information coming up. Don't forget, too, when we finish up here, you will be immediately followed by the Colin Cowherd Show. That'll be from 1 to 2 p.m., followed by Greeny. And like I just mentioned, David Hayes and the Afternoon Underdogs will be on from 4 till probably about 5:30 when the Braves come on for first pitch at 5:40, right here on ESPN Northwest Florida. All right, Jay, NHL tonight. Mm-hmm. We talked about it earlier, but one more time, who do you got? Panthers, Leafs.
Leafs. Yeah.
Kraken, Stars.
Stars.
There you go. Who wins the Eastern Conference Final? Panthers, Leafs, Devils, or Hurricanes?
Devils.
Got to go with Devils.
They're red and black. I love your jersey, man.
Yep.
It's great.
Georgia colors.
Yep.
Georgia colors. There ain't no doubt. But yeah, lots of good sports coming up again tonight locally. Don't forget, you've got softball and baseball going on. Go out and support these youth athletes. It means a lot. We've been talking kind of about the mental side of sports these last 2 days, but bigger crowd, bigger cheering, all that stuff makes a huge difference when those young athletes are out there playing. So go out and see. You've got, on the baseball side, you've got Arnold playing West Florida at 6 p.m. at home. You've got Mosley playing Niceville at 6 p.m. at home. You've got South Walton Bay playing South Walton. I'm assuming it's at South Walton. They're one of the best teams in the Florida Panhandle, so good luck to Bay. And then Bozeman plays Weewahitchka tonight. I think that's at 5 or 6 p.m. And then North Bay Haven plays Mariana today as well. Rutherford, unfortunately, lost to Mariana yesterday. So 5 out of the 6 high schools here in this area still alive in their state district tournaments, as well as softball. Arnold plays West Florida tonight at 6 p.m. Mosley, unfortunately, lost to Leon last night. Bay High beat Rutherford. They play Walton today at 5 p.m. Rutherford's out with that loss to Bay. Bozeman beat Bluntstown last night 10-6. Plays Franklin County today at 5 p.m. And then last but not least, North Bay Haven softball plays Pensacola Catholic today as well. So good luck to all those teams, all those local teams, and those great players. Go out and watch them. It's a beautiful night. It's going to be a beautiful night for baseball, softball. Come out and see us at Bay Point Golf Club. The weather is absolutely beautiful. Don't forget about our local Players Pass we have out there. That's a really easy thing. All you got to do is come register with us. You pay a registration fee, you get a free round of golf, and then you can play for a pretty significantly reduced round of golf any time of day, and that's open for locals that have an ID in Bay County as well as the 5 surrounding counties and any active military as well. We've got Sunday brunch coming up at Bar 72. We'll have Mark Knapp's jamming out again on the back porch, who always does a fantastic job. Big shout out to our culinary team at Bay Point. They're always putting out some great food, and come join us for lunch daily, 11 to 3, and then on the weekends we're open for breakfast every Saturday, Sunday from 8 to 11 with 2 Sunday brunches each month. A lot of stuff going on. Jay, I know you've got opportunity for people to come out, clinics, lessons, all that good stuff.
Yes, I have summer camps coming. Let's see, in June and July. I only have 2 spots left in all my camps.
That's
I think.
Awesome.
Yes.
We'll reach out quickly. So tell them how to find you.
So www.golfwithj.com. That's GOLF. WITHJAY.com.
Pretty straightforward there, Jay. Thank you for spelling it for us.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyways, but yeah, summer camp's happening. Have some availability through private lessons. You can contact me at 770-584-3506 if you're interested. If you're just beginning, or if you are a single-digit handicap, want to work on your game as a single-digit handicapper.
Just like any sport, it's always a work in progress.
Yes.
You can't obtain perfection, and you can always get better and more consistent. Jay, it's been a blast today, hanging out, talking to Shannon, talking golf, talking the mental side, learning a lot about coaching and what makes things go. And tomorrow we'll have Keith Fleming on. He'll be on at 12. He's a writer for the Fantasy Six-Pack, director of the daily fantasy sports content for Fantasy and Frames. We will see you guys tomorrow. It's been an absolute pleasure. You're listening to the Inside Drive on ESPN Northwest Florida.
ESPN Northwest Florida has the real local fishing report. Hi, this is Tim from Tackle. Join me every Friday at 4:20 during the afternoon Underdogs. It's accurate, detailed content from local anglers, plus fishing updates on Saturday and Sunday morning right when you hit the water. Advice and stories from local anglers. Tune into the Bay Breeze Bait and Tackle Fishing Report, exclusively on ESPN Northwest Florida.
My weather forecast for this afternoon, mostly sunny skies, about 75 to 80.